Well, see, I don't know who to say hello to. It's like Spotify, Instagram, Facebook.
This is the intro. This is the intro for our new series. Rob, what's the series called?
Welcome to the new series that is Boss. We ask questions. He's practiced this. I didn't know I was in it. We ask questions and we take questions from Ball of Spray, the wonderful website created by John Horden. And there's loads of drama. There's loads of goss. And maybe we get one question done in the time that we have. Maybe we get five
three
done.
or four or five. Yeah.
But last time we only got one done, so that didn't go very well. So this time we're going to go rapid fire. Marcus is going to pick a question or an answer or a post from the Ball of Spray forum, and we are going to do our best job to answer it and probably have a little argument as we go along.
We like that.
What is your question? He's been scrolling.
First question from Mr. Horton himself, the originator, founder of Ball of Spray.
Saucy.
I'm going to amend the question a little bit. Generally speaking, are kids on bad gear? Bad ski gear, bad bindings, bad ropes, bad gloves. Generally speaking, do you think more people need to pay attention to the gear that they're putting their kids on?
Oh, yes. General status.
Why?
Yes and no. I feel like a lot of people don't, well, they go, my kid's going slow. I don't need to put them on.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. First of all, gloves. You see so many kids rock up, and glove sizes can be a tricky
Fingers
one.
are extra
and they come
long.
up and they're like
Up
barely
around
done
there.
up. Yeah. But I think that at the end of the day, as long as the kid is enjoying it, that is the most important thing. But getting them out the water, it is an expensive sport. That's how it is. And don't want to keep going back to skis because that's not what we're here for. But it's making sure that your kid is on the close enough to the right equipment so that they can get up out the water well, that they're not being held back. If you're going to take the time and effort to be on a boat, to be behind a boat, to have gone to a ski school, maybe you're paying to send your kid to a ski school. It's a lot of money that it costs to send your child to a ski school for a week or maybe 2 weeks holiday. Make sure that they're on somewhat the right equipment. Yes, they don't need to be on the perfect, newest, greatest. We're not saying it has to be brand new. We're not saying it has to be. But if your kid is, I don't know, 6 years old, 100 pounds, don't put them on a 69-inch ski. Yeah. Get them a little, whether it be a boys Omni or I say the HO ones because I'm sponsored obviously, but also that's the one I know. So that's not that
there's
kind
other
of.
other brands
there's other
have
brands
kid skis.
available.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like make sure that your kid is on a kid ski, and if you're lucky enough to have someone that has the knowledge, and you probably know more about this than me on the shaping side of things, but we found some old skis at home. They were 67-inch. It's a Monza. It's one of Will's skis that
cut them down.
I'm pretty sure was one of his favourite skis. But I sent him a picture of it afterwards, so we don't have to tell him that. Whoops. And cut the tail off, measured it. It was for a kid that was about, I think, 8 years old, probably again about 100 pounds. And the ski wasn't going to be used anymore, so we cut the tail off to 63 inches.
You repurposed a normal ski for a kid.
Ground in the fin block, screwed the fin block in, and that is possibly the best kid ski.
And cheapest.
And cheapest if you have skis lying around, which I don't know how many people do. But at a lot of ski clubs, there's old skis that have gone out of fashion. It doesn't need to be a new ski. But
and why does that work? Just very quickly, I think it works because what you end up with is a wider tail relative to the length of the ski. For kids, they're usually skiing at slower speeds, especially when they're learning how to ski the course. And that wider tail, proportionally speaking to the rest of the forebody of the ski, helps keep the ski from dropping tail deep and them developing some really bad habits. So it could be cheapest, best way to repurpose an old ski that's collecting dust for your kid.
And if you don't have an old ski, and this is where again I'd like to ask you the question and say a little bit myself, but I would say you have obviously the two options. You have kid skis where they're often made, the Pro had it, it was a 63-inch ski and that was classed as the kid ski, versus say the boys Omni. So you have two skis that have come in same sizes, I believe. Same length.
Yeah.
What kind of level are you talking about there? Say my kid's running, I don't have a kid, but say you have a kid that again is about 120 pounds and is trying to run the course for the first time.
First time they'd be on the Omni because it's got a wider tail, it's got a little bit of clean edge, so there's less drag inherent in the ski. It's easier to get up on.
Everything sits more level.
Everything sits flatter, so it's easier to develop good habits on stance, which is a fundamental tenet.
The kid's growing up very quickly, trying to run 32 mile an hour.
Well, then you're going to be kind of thinking about transitioning based on the size of the ski and the size of the kid, but then you're going to start thinking, as you get to top speed, if you really, especially if the kid is loving skiing, you want to start investing, I think, in more of a slender body, high performance ski from one of the manufacturers who makes kids-specific skis or 64-inch,
and whether it's
65.
And again, this isn't it doesn't have to be new. It doesn't have to be the best thing. Ski It Again is a fantastic website. In the US, there's Ski Bay UK for home. There's, I'm sure, Australia. I mean, everywhere has some form of secondhand. But getting something that's relatively within the last 10 years is more importantly the correct size, the correct shape, and with no major cracks, dents, or holes.
Question.
Yep.
When you try a new ski,
Yep.
do you put a new binding on it also?
New binding?
Yeah.
Brand new?
Yeah.
Oh, question. See, I've got the question. No.
Why?
Because you should test the same thing. You should, if you put new ski, new bindings, new back binding, new gloves,
don't know
new
what's
driver,
different.
you have no idea what's different. That was a very random question.
Well, because I think we're talking about skis, but dude, like, I think bindings make almost a bigger difference sometimes. So,
100%.
optimize a ski, but also be looking at the binding.
I changed my back kicker the other day and nearly missed my first pass.
If the binding, we're not going to get through.
I would
topic
class as a relatively good skier, and I nearly missed my. I changed my handle. And nearly missed my first
Got
pass.
issues, slight issues.
We know that.
But optimizing binding. Is it hard shell? Is it rubber? Is a back boot? Is it a kicker? Is your child's foot fitting properly? Like if it's a repurposed binding that they're sloppy in,
That's
gonna
another.
be tough.
That's a whole nother.
It's gonna be tough. They're gonna develop some bad habits.
And like you say on that.
Spend the money on a good binding. Repurpose an older ski is what I would do.
And
first.
again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a good binding. It doesn't have to be a new binding, but it has to fit. Imagine putting your kid in a shoe that's way too big, then saying, go to this highly balanced, highly technical, highly tough sport, and wonder why their foot's doing this, and the ski's stud, and they're trying to move it, and their foot's jogging around, and it can be dangerous. So making sure the bindings fit correctly.
Hard shell, rubber, I don't care. What about you? Yeah, exactly.
Again,
fits well. That's key.
And I guess the last thing that we should talk about, which is probably more the higher end of my
Kid
child
scale.
is trying to learn how to ski, is fins.
Yep.
Making sure, and binding placement, making sure bindings are in the right place, check factory settings. If you're at a ski school, there very much should be someone there that is able to check those. It's only versus every single website will have factory settings usually for the history of the skis that they've made.
Yep.
So making sure that your bindings are somewhat near factory, making sure that the split of the feet, obviously if it's a small kid, they have small feet, so they're going to probably want to be pretty close.
That's
Big
probably
one.
the biggest one we haven't talked about yet, because
I just thought that,
often bindings for kids, if the feet are small, it's hard to get the back boot close enough to the front boot or the back kicker close enough to the front boot. That's a key one. If the kids' feet are really spread, bad habits.
Yeah.
It's really easy for them to develop bad habits. So check that one out too. I'll say this. How do you know? How are you going to know? Well, Rob's on GiveGo. I'm on GiveGo. You can ask a question here in the comments below. You can reach out on Instagram.
Yeah. And
there's all kinds of ways. There's experts out there everywhere. But don't be afraid to reach out to us if you have a question about your kid's setup, or if you're a kid and you're like, hey, my stuff's janky, right? And then we can say, yeah. We can go to your parents and say, yeah, you need better skis, better bindings.
And down the line, we will be doing more podcasts / videos on educational content of how to measure this kind of stuff. But for now, if you don't know that, like I say, send us a DM. Or if you're near a ski school, if someone of knowledge, just go on the website, find the stock numbers, but making sure it's near stock. And fin as well. Fin can get very technical. It can get very tough. It can be a very, very complicated world.
Keep it simple, though.
Keep it simple. If you have a set of calipers, usually for a child, put it somewhere near stock. And if you don't understand what that is, get someone to put it near stock. You need proper calipers. A ruler is not good enough. Doing it by eye is not good enough. Doing it by the marks is not really good enough.
No.
Make sure that the numbers are somewhat near correct, because you are teaching your kid a skill and the thing for life. So if you've got your kid into skiing, they love it. Do not give them bad habits just because their fin's an absolute anchor at the back of it. And you can get way too technical about fins. But at the end of the day, if your fin is 3 inches too big in somewhat dimension, they are not going to be able to ski correctly.
Two final thoughts from me, and then you can finish it out. Number one, even if the fin is a 1/10 of an inch out in the wrong direction, potentially that can make a difference.
For sure.
That can make a big difference. Number two, as a general rule of thumb, if your kid is excited or passionate, or if your kid's starting to lose a little bit of excitement or passion, make sure that you're giving them a little bit more optimized gear than you think they deserve, to just keep them moving forward, to keep them excited, to keep them stoked on what they're riding. Because what you don't want their equipment to be a hurdle in their progression, so that then they end up losing faith in their own skiing.
My only thought on that last one would be, I very much agree. I don't think, oh, my kid's struggling at skiing, I need a new ski.
No, don't do that.
It's more, that I don't think that's not what he's trying to say. It's more of a fact of what you don't want to be. You don't want to be on a 63-inch ski because at 12 years old and 100 pounds, that was perfect. At 16 years old, when your kid is now 180 pounds and 6'3", that's no longer the ski. It's becoming a hurdle. You've got your kid into the sport. Again, it doesn't have to be a new ski. Go and ski it again. Go on ski bay, wherever it is, and make sure that the ski's dimension, size, width, and setup is somewhat safe. Marcus, yet again, we have done a ball of spread episode, and we've only answered one question. We've gone down a rabbit hole.
We've been on stuff is real hard.
11 minutes. We just like to talk, but we will get better.
We promise we'll get better.
We will do more of them. So again, if you have any questions, it doesn't have to be from Ball of Spray. That's just what we're using right now.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, send me a DM, Marcus a DM, Flowpoint Method a DM,
comments
Jenny
here.
Labor a DM, comment on wherever you're watching or listening to this, and we would love to answer your questions. And we will be doing a lot more of these. So watch out for the next one.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah. See you.